Iceland has been for about, I think, 14 years, been the best place for working women to be in.
Looking back on your 20s, were there life lessons that you wished you had learned earlier? Now, looking back.
I can tell you on a personal note, family and children, you can definitely combine that with your career.
Becoming the woman that you are today, what made you, what shaped you?
My first basically professional job was at the Central Bank of Iceland. I worked as first, of course, as a junior economist, and then as a deputy director. Always think about what is the common good, that the decision that you make serve basically the views and are in the best interest of the nation.
Integrity, I really like it. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode on the podcast Female Empowerment. With me today from Iceland is Minister of Culture and Business Affairs, Lilja Alfreðsdóttir. Welcome, Minister. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, and thanks also for inviting me to this very interesting podcast.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Let's start right away with the first question. I always find that one very interesting. Becoming the woman that you are today, what made you, what shaped you? Because I think there are people and also situations that make us the person that we are today. And I would really love to hear your story.
So I would say that I had extremely good parents. Both my father and my mother, they took very good care of me and my sister. They were both role models. My father was kind of, he always raised me and my sister up of being, just, me as a Lilja, not me as a Lilja girl or Lilja something else. It's just, had this approach of encouragement and empowerment, basically since I remember me, and the same thing for my mother. My mother was one of the first one that was, in the labor market. She was always working, but she was also extremely good mother. And when I was being raised up, it was not maybe sometimes, it was sometimes said that, you were either basically, participating in the labor force or you were a good mother, but she was able to combine the both. So she is a true role model for me today, as I have two children. And then I want to mention another very dear person to me. It's my grandmother, who was born in 1910. She and time with her from the 80s. So I remember myself when she passed away when I was 9. She was an entrepreneur. She ran her own restaurant. Just basically, she put the restaurant in place in 1935 or so. And she was very hardworking and very independent and had very strong views on gender equality. And she was preaching to me since I remember. So I've been extremely fortunate with basically the role models that I've had and the tremendous encouragement that I've had, both through my parents and through my great-grandmother. And I would also like to mention that my husband was always supported me in both my education and in my career.
That's important. Yeah. I had an interview with a mayor from Spain, and she said that the support from home is very important in order to have a successful career. Yeah. Now, looking back on the beginnings of your career, were there aspects of your personality that were strengthened?
Yes, I mean, my first basically professional job was at the Central Bank of Iceland. I worked first, of course, as a junior economist, but then as a deputy director. And what strengthened me as a personality was that I was working in a very critical environment where, as a central bank, you always need to have a very strong analytical mind on, complex topics. And also, for instance, the director uh, that I had was, a very brilliant man, was also very supportive, meaning that, he wanted to promote, women equally as men, just to, have that plus, a strong encouragement from home, definitely strengthen the personality of being, have a critical mind, uh, don't hesitate to ask questions, and just, that supported my confidence of approaching, very different and complex issues.
Dare to ask questions. I really liked how you pointed that out, to have a critical thinking and also to raise your voice and when you have questions. Yeah, I thank you for pointing that out. Now the next question is quite a bit different. What is your vision in approaching life?
That is that you have to have fun, and life has to be interesting in order to challenge you in a positive way, and you have to be in a positive environment. And my, for instance, my political assistance and the ministry that I lead now, it's with very, there's a lot of positivity, very hardworking people. But what we try to do is also have fun together. That is my experience. When you are in an environment is with, people that are really, have a positive mind, a very, what can I say, with a kind heart.
Yeah,
Then
that's
you do.
I think that is a key element in order to be productive, also in order to get results. Yeah. Looking back on your 20s, were there life lessons that you wished you had learned earlier? Now, looking back.
Now I have to think in my 20s.
The question is because I do think that in your 20s you learn a lot.
I can tell you on a personal note. So I had my children in my first one when I was 33. Family and children, you can definitely combine that with your career. They really add to your personal strengths, and they, so I think that I was concerned when I was younger that it would be difficult to combine career and, family life. But I was wrong. But I have to add though, and be humble and appreciative of, I have always had tremendous support, both with, my husband, and then of course my parents and my in-laws. So I've been, fortunate with that. But that I can, I encourage people to,
Combine
live a
these
little.
two. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
is
I totally
not
agree.
as, yeah. And I thought it was, I was, yeah, I was very concerned that it was difficult to combine, but you can definitely do it. But of course, with a lot of help, I had.
Yeah, sure. The help is always, it helps. Yeah. But so many women on this podcast have said that. For example, the vice president of the German National Parliament, she said it's you can manage. It's workable. Yeah. So thank you for pointing that out. The next question: as a decision maker, what has shaped you?
I would say trust. I think that when you are in an environment with colleagues, whether it's your assistants or people in your closest environment, what I value the most is honesty and trust that you can. And when I've made mistakes, I've perhaps maybe trusted maybe someone too much that maybe was not trustworthy. But so having people around you that you can trust, but are also critical. They don't tell minister always yes minister, but are rather saying like okay well that you have people that are of the depth that can really also challenge you. And what I try to do is also have an environment and to encourage people to say, well, if you think this is something that I should maybe do in a different way, don't hesitate. I really try to encourage, critical thinking in in the office and in my ministry. But of course, everyone has to agree with me, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no,
No, but it's extremely important. I mean, if you are making taking decisions, especially if they are important and can really affect both, your basically the policy or a specific sector that you are responsible for as a minister. It's very good to get like two sides, evaluate, and never have one of the advice I would give is don't let anyone pressure you in a decision that you don't feel comfortable about, and also trust your intuition. That is very valuable. Yeah. You are where you are. There's a reason for it, and don't doubt it.
yes, yes, I agree 100%. The next question is kind of related to this one also. Was there a decision for you that you found difficult to make?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there are many decisions that, when you're a minister or you are heading, have a certain responsibility, there's always a decision uh, that is difficult, but you also have to remember, I mean, you always have to be able to explain what you're doing. If you have difficulties in explaining why you took this decision, and you then it's probably was not a good decision. But you also have to realize, and I encourage especially women, because one of the good thing about girls and women is that we really wanna, what can I say? We strive for doing things very well.
Yeah.
Some have, almost want to do things perfect, but don't punish yourself if you make a wrong decision. Learn from it, but move on. And it it can sometimes be difficult, especially if you really put a lot of work into it, and maybe it was not the right decision. But also the path to good decision making is also have make certain that you don't schedule too much.
Yeah, not to have too many things at the same time. I really like.
Yes,
I really like.
which is maybe
Yeah. Sorry, you first. No.
no, which is maybe my assistants would maybe laugh when I would say this. Don't schedule too much, but you can really if there's too much on your agenda and you're tired, your decision making will. I mean, don't underestimate rest.
Yeah, it's a key element in order for good results. That it's part of it. Yeah, I really liked that your phrase "to learn from it and to move on." Thank you for pointing that out. The next question is: as a leader, you obviously
Mhm.
are shaping a country. What is important on that?
Integrity. Always think about what is. Think about the common good. That the decision that you make serve serve basically the views and are in the best interest of the nation. And you need to be forward looking also. Think about not just basically what is good, at this juncture or right now in the present, but also think about how, when you look back, is this a decision? Me as a leader, will I be proud of it? So that is, important to
Integrity, I really like it. The last question is, I really like to end the first part, the formal part of the interview, on a more positive note. And what are you at the moment most looking forward to?
What am I most just spending just time with my family. I really enjoy being with my kids and husband. And I just look forward to the summer. Spend some time. My husband and my daughter, they bought a tent, so we're going to travel around Iceland in a tent. And they didn't even mention it, and they just bought it, and they thought I would not like to travel in a tent. But I'm going to surprise everyone and be the biggest, always, want to go on this tent.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds. I've seen great pictures of Iceland, and it has it's a gem. The nature, everything there. So I really have to come and visit it someday. I really have to.
Yeah, and please let us know.
Yeah, I will, most definitely. Well, thank you very much. We're now going over into a more informal part where we want to get you personally a bit better. And the questions have been arranged in the order of fast question and answer. And the first one is, how do your friends and family describe you in 3 words?
Hardworking. I would like to think fun. And hardworking, fun, and knowledgeable.
Yeah, great personality traits for a minister, I'd say. Your favorite activity in the capital city of Iceland, I hope I pronounced correctly, Reykjavík, is that?
Reykjavík, yes.
Yes.
Taking my dog for a walk.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love taking the dog for a walk.
Wow. What kind of dog do you have?
Mini Schnauzer.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen. I'll look it up.
Yeah, no, it's very cute.
Yeah. A person you'd love to have coffee with.
Yeah, I would say my parents.
Spending quality time, right?
Yes.
If you would have to give your life a song title, which one would it be? It can also be from a song title that already exists.
That is a funny question. My I would just say I would be, of course, DJ Lilja. That would be my name as in that. I would just say have some fun or something like that. I don't know.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. If you could bring back a trend, which one would it be?
Oh my God, bring back a trend. I think when I was growing up, there were like these neon colors in fashion. I would bring back these neon green and pink colors back.
They look fantastic. Yeah. We really should let a few fashion lines know that they should bring them back. A hobby you really excel at?
Have I? Yeah. What hobby? I would probably say reading.
Reading, that's very important.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book or a book you can recommend?
So many books that I love. I really like reading biographies. I really like reading books about economic progress. I just finished a book on Roosevelt. in the Second World War when he was fighting certain isolationism in the US.
Yeah.
Now I'm reading a book about economic progress and what traits do countries need to have in order to have strong economic growth and well-being. So I would say, and then I really like reading philosophy, whether it's, Aristotle, Plato, or John Stuart Mill. I would think that
Yeah.
would probably be something that I excel at, to be honest.
The next question is kind of related to this one. And if you could meet any author or poet, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would like to meet the Roman politician Cicero and a philosopher.
Yeah, that would
was,
be most definitely interesting.
Yeah, he was alive from I think from 106 to 43 BC. Basically, when the both democracy in the Roman Empire was being reduced significantly, and then basically his philosophy on what I like about friendship and how you behave as a politician, and etc. So I would have loved to meet Cicero.
Yeah. The next question is, which habit makes you unique?
I don't know. I would think I'm pretty creative. I have a lot of ideas, which makes a lot of work for people that are working for me. But I think that's pretty unique. Not unique, but I think it's very good for a politician to be creative.
Yeah, indeed. The last question, I really like this one. What's the best thing about living in Iceland?
It's just how beautiful the country is. The air is very clear and fresh, and there are so many places where you can hike and walk. And I love the Icelandic swimming pools and the spas and the Blue Lagoon that we have. It's just the outdoor activities that you can enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Love that about Iceland.
Yeah, right. I do have to come visit. The pictures are fantastic, and I do think it's a it's a gem. The entire nature, everything there. Sounds fantastic, and the people are so nice, so kind. Well, and on this note, I'd say thank you, Minister, for taking the time to be with us, to share about your career, and also to let us know a bit more your personality. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I would just once again appreciate that you invited me. And I would maybe also like to end on one note that I think is very important, because this is the empowerment past, which is that Iceland has been for about, I think, 14 years been the best place for working women to be in, according to the Economist Glass Ceiling Index.
Wow! We'll definitely research that, because I do think other countries can learn from it. Most definitely. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.